Alright, so the new dates for the second, and what's happening here is that Boris Johnson has said that he's going to make it a law that you have to be doubly vaccinated in order to get into a nightclub in Britain. And if he does that, well, that really confirms the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast of Revelation 13 says that the sea beast and the two-horned beast of Revelation 13, which is the big tech power from the sea, and the two-horned beast is the UK-US deep state, they will compel everybody that they cannot buy or sell without the mark of the beast. And the means of compulsion has now been confirmed by Boris Johnson. It is going to be the vaccine passports. And the mark of the beast is the social credit score that goes with it. That's your marks out of 10 or whatever it will be. So we now have interpreted, and it's been confirmed by events really, that the mark on your hand, your right hand, is your actions, which will be constrained, restricted, permitted or not permitted, authorised or not authorised by a vaccine passport. That's the mark on your hand. And then the mark on your forehead, literally between your eyes, is your thoughts, and that'll be, your thoughts are, I must improve my social credit score so that I can get into a nightclub or get into Tesco's or have a double cheeseburger instead of a single cheeseburger, or whatever they do with these social credit scores. So it's an amazing time to live. Revelation 13 is being fulfilled. Boris Johnson has confirmed it, in that it's going to be a law that he says will come in at the end of September, that you cannot enter into a nightclub without a doubly vaccinated passport. You cannot buy, you can buy a ticket but you can't get in. And if that gets extended to shops and other venues and pubs and clubs, then you do reach the point. As in France, they're saying you can't right now go into a shopping mall and buy anything unless you're doubly vaccinated, which is really ridiculous, because if you can't buy food, it's very bad for your health. So this is obviously not about health. Anyway, the only difficulty with this is that Boris Johnson doesn't make law. It's got to be voted on by Parliament, I believe. Well, I don't know, maybe they can just do this without voting. I don't really understand the system. But it's very exciting biblically, because it does look very much like that. And so we've now made a rule that for the Lord's witnesses, that given it's the mark of the beast, you cannot take the mark of the beast. I mean, Jesus, the book says that. So once you've identified the mark, you shouldn't take it. Alright, well, here are the new dates for... Now, the difficulty is that there's a lot of resistance to vaccine passports, because they take away your personal liberty, because when government controls things, they normally mess them up, and if they start controlling our lives, they'll mess them up. And so it now makes sense, to me at least, that they should want to push this, and they need another means of pushing it, another scare tactic. And so I now think that the fire signs I have been attempting to predict for the last 15 years will be that scare tactic. They will empower the government more, scare the people more, and get us over the line towards the mark of the beast, which, as I say, is vaccine passports and social credit score associated with them. And so we're predicting both of these fire signs, the one in the US and one in the UK, to occur on AB 20 to 22, which is essentially AB 21, the 10th 2NC Pentecost, which is July 31 to August 3, and the third fire sign to be LL4 to 7, we haven't changed that, which is August 14 to 18. So they're both coming in August, one at the start of August, the other one in the middle of August. Second fire sign at the start of August, third fire sign in the middle of August. And Mike, one of the apostles in this church, had a dream in AB in 2014, 7 years ago, that essentially these fire signs would occur in August. So we now have them both occurring in August. They must happen at Pentecost, so the second fire sign occurs at the 10th 2NC Pentecost, and the third fire sign occurs at the late or the second Zoe Pentecost. The Zoe Pentecost was AB 6 this year, because AB 5 was a Sabbath. The late Zoe Pentecost is therefore LL6, but the second Zoe Pentecost is LL5, because LL5 is not a Sabbath, and you can't have a Pentecost on a Sabbath. So that's the two fire signs occurring at the next two Pentecosts we will the next 2NC Pentecost and the next Zoa Pentecost. This church missed, we forgot to celebrate the Zoa Pentecost on Ab6, we'll have to celebrate it on Elul5 instead, which is, we think, when we get the gifts of the Spirit for 7 times. The church ends Nisan 14, 2022, and Elul5 is 7 months and 9 days before then, and you have to have the gifts of the Spirit for 7 times. We deduce that from 1 Corinthians 12, verse 28 to 31, where it says, not all are prophets, are they? Not all are teachers, not all are evangelisers, not all are... And there's 7 different categories, and that stands for 7 times precisely. And in the greater meaning, yes, when you have the gifts of the Spirit, everybody is a prophet, everybody is an evangeliser, everybody's a healer, everybody's a teacher. That's going to be the beauty of these gifts, which are needed because the demons have taken such a huge control over people. You can't do anything these days without a government consent. So God has to get around that, and one of the ways he gets around it is with the gifts of the Spirit. So that's what we've got to look forward to, and also we expect to be, people start going into the ark. I'm not quite sure when that is, to be honest, but it has to be before the second fire sign, so it's got to be this month. We now think in the next few days basically, but I'm still researching that. So that's the 2 fire signs, July 31st to August 3 for the second fire sign, which we think is, well, we don't know which one is which, but they both produce mushroom clouds over rivers. One produces a mushroom cloud over the Thames at Dartford, the other one over the Hudson, perhaps around the George Washington Bridge, so certainly in Manhattan. So those are the 2 fire signs, and the second one is August the 14th to the 18th. Thank you.